Hello everyone, this is MC Deck Discussions and I am OhBSmall, and today we have another playthrough, again a full game playthrough because it's part of the tournament play. This is the second round, we're in the second week, and this is the second game against M.O.D.O.K for me, and I am using once again a Domino deck, but one of the rules is that if you use the same hero, you do have to choose a different aspect. So this time it'll be Justice, and I will share that deck in a little bit. As usual, I have the timestamps, so you can skip any parts that you're already familiar with. So I'm going to show the M.O.D.O.K setup first. So if you're familiar with that, even from the last game, you can just skip it. And then I will share the deck. Then we'll get started with the gameplay. So let's start with M.O.D.O.K's setup. All right, let's flip this back over. So create the holding cell deck. So I have the holding cell deck over here. It was randomized in the victory display, so that's where I'm keeping it. I have to do some awkward things here with dragon cards. So that's my adaptation. And so this is the card. So the holding cell deck is actually supposed to be a deck, and the top card is what's in play. So as soon as this gets completed, and let's go ahead and put 2 counters on it. Okay, so it enters play. As soon as this is completed, the next one is meant to be right under it and then immediately in play. So it enters play with 2 lock counters on it, and it has a forced interrupt. When the last lock counter is removed from here, you flip this card and put Sarah Garza into play under any player's control. So on the other side is an ally, and they'll be under my control, and they won't count against my my ally count that's in play. And then it has a hero action in this particular case. Spend a wild resource or 3 resources of any type, and you can remove 1 lock counter from here. So that's a pretty nice start on this one. You'll see the other ways on the other ones, but because Domino has so many wild cards, that should make this relatively easy to take care of once we've taken care of the adaptoid that's in play. So let's move on to the next part. So then put 1 random adaptoid environment into play, 2 environments instead in expert mode. We are in expert mode against M.O.D.O.K. Oh, and I got to fix his hit points. For some reason, this always loads up with 10 hit points, but he has 14. So let me put his hit points up from 10 to 14. There we go. All right. So, so we're going to put 2 environments in, and then the other 2 will be set aside. So here's the first environment. It gets, each adaptoid gets +1 scheme and gains insight 1 and gains the aerial trait. And then this is the second one. Each adaptoid gains the elite trait. Each adaptoid gets +1 ATK, and its attacks gain overkill and range. All right, so the bottom line for right now is gets +1 scheme, +1 ATK, and insight 1. And so you'll see that I taken care of the insight over here. In a little bit, it's already taken care of. You'll see that when I flip this over. Okay. All right. And then lastly, each player searches the encounter deck for a copy of Adaptoid and reveals it. There are 4 Adaptoid minions. So I put 1 of them into play here. And here it is. It has this, you have to use the Adaptoid environments for this, right? So that's why I have this marker on here to represent an extra scheme on it. And this will represent that extra attack. So he actually has 2 scheme and 2 attack. And then, but when he's defeated, remove 1 all-purpose counter from an environment. So I'll be able to remove an all-purpose counter from the holding cell environment. All right. So that's it for this part. Let's flip it over, and then we'll go ahead and read this. Forced interrupt. When this stage would be completed, put 1 random set-aside adaptoid environment into play instead. And there are 4 altogether, so we have 2 in play right now. Then, if there are no set-aside adaptoid environments, the players lose the game. In other words, if M.O.D.O.K is able to complete this twice, we just automatically lose. Okay. And then lastly, otherwise, so if you haven't lost yet, remove all threat from here and shuffle each adaptoid minion from the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. All right, and then lastly, M.O.D.O.K himself has 3 scheme, 1 attack, aerial, cyborg, and psionic traits. He has retaliate 2. That's why I have these 2 markers on him to represent that retaliate 2. And then he also has steady. And he has this forced interrupt. When M.O.D.O.K would be defeated, If a holding cell is in play, remove 2 lock counters from it and reset M.O.D.O.K's hit points to 14 instead. Otherwise, the players win the game. So sometimes my strategy does end up being to help get rid of these. I'll defeat M.O.D.O.K once, and that will, free up one of these allies from the holding cell, and then get the next one into play, and then go for defeating M.O.D.O.K again. So last game I didn't do it that way. I did 2 practice games against him. But last game, I didn't do it that way. Lastly, I want to mention this because I forget this until the very end of every game. Like it happens every time. A lot of times I defeat him and I have to go, oh, no, I got to take away that defeat because I forget that I'm trying to get the full 10 points. So 10 points for a victory, 3 points for a loss, and then you take away points. Those are the base points. So let's say I have a victory and I get 10 points. I take away 1 point for each threat that's on the main scheme. I take away 1 point for each minion in play and 1 point for each side scheme in play. So my goal is to have a perfect victory in the sense of having everything cleared out on M.O.D.O.K's side, the villain side. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and share Nina Thurman or Domino, share her deck. So let's go check that one out. All right, so this deck is called Ranger Danger. Again, the word Ranger is in the name of the deck because she has ranged attacks. And I did put in an extra character in here, or an extra ally, but also an extra upgrade in here so we can have some extra range. So I just figured, okay, Ranger Danger, sounding kind of like Stranger Danger. So I figured that would work with this one. All right, so it's a 40-card Justice deck for Domino. And let's go ahead and look at what we have set up here. Oh, I forgot my usual description up here. I'm going to update that real fast. All right, there we go. So got that updated. So in each of my 2 previous games, my practice games, they did play out differently. This deck does play out differently than the leadership deck does that had all the recursion. So let's go ahead and first of all, I'm not going to read all of this stuff here again. There it is. If you want it, you could pause to get this part of it about the draft tournament and who was involved. And then this is the limited environment that I use based on my draft picks. So you can also read, you can pause this to read all of that. And then these are the rules that I actually just mentioned a little bit ago as far as the scoring rules. And this deck was specifically built for M.O.D.O.K. All right. And because of his 2 retaliate and all that. I'll have a deck description video to get into details of this. So let me just give a quick overview. We've got Agent Coulson, who can bring a preparation card to your hand, and I have 2 counterintelligence cards specifically for that. Then we have Captain Britain, Deadpool, Deathlock, who when comes into play immediately attaches an upgrade to him. And I have Sidearm for that purpose, but also Sidearm's in the deck because it could go on a number of other allies as well. And Sidearm gives the attached ally +1 ATK and ranged. So that also allows us to attack the villain M.O.D.O.K without worrying about the retaliate 2. And so does Domino's pistols if you haven't seen the previous one. So her pistols allow her to do that as well. And then we have Feral added to the deck, Nick Fury, Professor X, and White Fox. And then for the events, we have 2 copies of Directed Force. So because the pistols have ranged, we could be able to add some additional damage to that ranged damage. We have Face the Past, 2 copies of First Aid, 1 copy of Lay the Trap, and Superpower Training. Then we have all these resources here, 3 copies of Digging Deep and the usual double resource cards. And then I took out all supports in this deck. I decided I didn't really need them. I wasn't playing them. And so the original version I had played, I removed them and didn't feel like I needed them at all. So that was actually kind of cool. And then for the upgrades, in addition to counterintelligence, do 2 copies of counterintelligence sidearm, we also have Sharpshooter to enhance Domino's attacks with the pistols. All right, which we can do because it's those are ranged attacks. Okay? And we can only do that, Hero Interrupt. When you make a ranged attack, you make a ranged attack. So I'm going to assume that I cannot use that with the sidearm. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and that's it. there's the overview of the deck. Like I said, I'll do a full-on deck description video if you want to see that later. Let's head over and get the gameplay started. All right, let's first draw up our hand size. And let's see, we have a Digging Deep. Oh gosh, we have Jackpot already. Interesting. Superpower Training. Wow, we already have Domino's Pistol in hand. And we have Superpower Training to get the other one. Okay, that's super interesting. Let's see what we want to do with that. All right, so what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to actually use Jackpot to play Domino's Pistol. And so now we've got a pistol in play. Let's put that here, and I'm going to put a little damage token on it as a reminder to myself. Okay. And then notice that she has 3 recovery, and she has this action on Alter Ego. Choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card of your discard pile. Limit once per round. So I'm going to trade out Feral to bring in Jackpot. So we're going to trade those back. Okay. Then we're going to flip over to the hero side. And I'm going to do the following here. So I'm going to put... Then I'm going to use Domino's ability. First, let's read her. She has a 1, 2, 3, thwarting, attacking, and defense, and has Posse and X-Force traits. When counting resources on cards, discard the top card of your deck, counting each printed wild resource twice, wild resource icon twice. And she has this action, choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card of your deck. So I'm going to put Jackpot up on the top of the deck and swap it with this card. All right. And then let's go ahead and utilize this Domino's Pistol. So exhaust Domino's Pistol, choose an enemy, and discard the top card of your deck. Deal 1 damage to that enemy for each resource icon discarded this way. This attack gains range. So we're going to go ahead and use that. We'll discard this card, dealing 3 damage. But also, this has a response. After this card is discarded from the top of your deck, shuffle it back into your deck. Boom, and put it back in and shuffle. All right, and then we will go ahead and use this double to get Diamond back into play, and we'll use this Digging Deep to get Superpower Training into play. All right, and then I think I'll go ahead and attack with Domino, dealing 2 more damage here. And we get when defeated, remove 1 all-purpose counter from an environment. So we are going to remove an all-purpose encounter from this environment. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Domino to, and that gets rid of him. I'm going to use Domino to remove 1 threat from the scheme to start getting towards our other pistol. All right, that's it for my first turn. Oh, let's put the round button, so first round. Okay. And let's ready up and draw our cards. And let's see, what do we have here? Digging Deep, Counterintelligence, Outlaw, Directed Force, White Fox. Ooh, okay. All right, interesting. Okay, so M.O.D.O.K's first round turn. Let's add 1 threat to the main scheme, and he's going to attack for 1 damage plus this. I'm going to defend for 3 with Domino, and the attack does 0 extra points of damage, and we get rid of an advance. That's awesome. We definitely don't want him getting those advances. So that's great. We get rid of 1 of those so quickly. Let's see what we get with the second card, with the actual encounter card. And it has Surge. So we're going to bring out another card here in a sec. When revealed, or discard 1 card from your hand for each aim minion in the victory display. And if you look over here at the minions, this is the only minion. It's not an aim minion, so it wasn't supposed to go in the victory display. Keep that order. And so that part doesn't happen, but let's go ahead and now take care of the Surge, which really reveals the top card from the encounter deck. And to me, though, I can easily forget that, so I'm just doing it here. Okay, now notice this does have victory -1, so, and vulnerable, so, which means you discard this card if it's stunned or confused. And then while Scientist Supreme is in the victory display, Monica Rappaccini gains Villainous. This one, if I do defeat, or when I do defeat Monica Rappaccini, then she will go in the victory display, and then that card like Diplomatic Sanctions would actually end up applying then. All right, so let's go ahead and take our turn. That's the end of M.O.D.O.K's turn, and we're starting round 2. In all likelihood, I'll lose track of the rounds, but hey, I'm keeping track right now, so I'll just continue on keeping track of the rounds for as long as I can. All right, I'm going to start it off by using Domino's ability here to choose a card in my hand, swap it with the top card of my deck. So I'm going to put White Fox on top. So let's bring this card out. And there's White Fox, oops, on the top of the deck. All right, and we're going to use Domino's pistol. So we're do that. Is this an interrupt? It is. Okay, so we're going to exhaust Domino's pistol, choose an enemy, discard the top card of your deck. So discard that card, which is White Fox. That's going to deal 1 damage here. And then White Fox that's a response, so that's going to happen in a second here, because we're going to use directed force to enhance that attack. Okay? And so that attack, when hero interrupt, when your hero makes an attack that has the keyword, and in this case the keyword ranged, that attack deals 2 additional damage. So that's 2 more damage is 3. So then we'll get rid of directed force. Okay? And then, actually, let me put that out here, out of the way. What happened? Okay, hold on. Let me just undo some things here until I see what I should have seen. What's going on? There it is. Okay, so let me just get White Fox out now. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Okay, so then the directed force came in and dealt the 2 extra damage, and that gets discarded. Okay, all right, so now White Fox is in play. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a hero action here, spend a wild resource to remove 1 lock counter from the holding cell. So let's spend Digging Deep. No, let's spend Deadpool, okay, who has a wild resource. And we'll get rid of this, flip over, and now we have Sarah Garza in play. Does not count against your ally limit. In addition, her attacks gain overkill and ranged, and has this force response. After this card leaves play, flip it and place it in the bottom of the holding cell deck. So we'd like to avoid that. All right, and then, but let's get the next one in play. Again, this is supposed to be a stack that just stays there. The next one is automatically in play as soon as the previous one we're able to get rid of their lock counters and flip them over. Okay, so this time to free the next ally in the holding cell, we have to spend 2 physical resources to get rid of a lock counter, or possibly defeat M.O.D.O.K to get rid of 2. All right, so next, let's see. All right, I'm going to use Diamondback's ability. Exhaust Diamondback, deal 1 damage to her, and discard the top card of your deck. Deal 1 damage for each enemy for each resource icon discarded this way. And that's a red one, so that's going to deal 1 damage here and 1 damage to M.O.D.O.K. Oh, I was supposed to do this. So I had to deal 1 damage to her, right? So there we go. Now she has 2 damage, and she is defeated. All right, then let's use White Fox to attack and finish off Monica Rappaccini. And then again, it's victory 1. So I think I'll just put it in the out of play area instead, right? Because I already have other things in the victory display. So while Scientist Supreme is in the victory display, Monica Rappaccini gains Villainous. So this that has no impact right now. So let's go ahead and put that card in out of play. Okay, all right, and then we're going to use Sarah Garza, which I usually want to attack with her, but I want to get this, we're going to get to attack right away because of this. So let's go ahead and remove 2 threat from Superpower Training, and we'll just put that in the out of play area as well. So we can just choose, each player may search their deck and discard power for an identity-specific upgrade and put it into play. And so what I want is the other pistols. And then finally, we can deal some damage here with them. So upgrade. Oh, click on upgrades. There we go. Where are you? Oh, it was going to be a while before we got this next one, so that's good. So shuffle that up, and let's put a damage counter there. And let's go ahead and use it right away to deal damage to M.O.D.O.K. Discard a card, and it is a wild resource. And then Domino's ability lets us count it twice, so we deal 2 damage to M.O.D.O.K. And then what do we have left here? 2 physicals. So we could get 1 of those right now, but I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to get rid of these and pay for counterintelligence. And I put a little reminder to me that it does this. So it has an interrupt. So just a regular interrupt. So not a hero interrupt. When any amount of threat would be placed on the main scheme, discard counterintelligence, prevent 3 of that threat. All right, let's go. Ready up. And that was the beginning of round 2, and it's M.O.D.O.K's turn. All right, and I think I missed that we went to another round. I'll put it on round 3, we'll see. I'll definitely have the, what do you call it? The usual timestamps for, to see where we are actually. All right, let's add 1 threat to the main scheme and go ahead and have M.O.D.O.K attack. I will defend with Domino again. So attacking for 1, 2, 3, we take no damage. And that's nice. We didn't end up with this attachment. Sometimes they attach automatically. All right, and get an encounter card. And we do get an attachment here. M.O.D.O.K gets +5 hit points. Okay, so let's add 5 hit points. He's up to 16 now, more than what he started with. Forced response, after M.O.D.O.K's hit points are reset, discard this card. Okay, but he also has +1 ATK, so now he has 2 attack. Okay, so let's see what we can do next. Oh, and let's start round 4, assuming that's where we are. All right, I'm going to start off by attacking with Domino's pistol here. So discard a card, and we deal, it's a double, so we deal 2 damage. And then let's do the other pistol. Discard that card, and that's a wild resource. So we deal double that up for 2 damage. Oh, how much did I think I got rid of the wrong amount. Yes, I accidentally did 3 damage there, so that should be 14 down to 12. Okay, all right. And then what I am going to do is spend 2 physical resources here. I'm going to spend Face the Past and Painted Lady to get rid of one of these. And then I'm going to go ahead and spend, I could do Luck Be a Lady. Okay, actually, here's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to use Domino's ability to swap cards with the top of the deck. So I'm going to put Right Place, Right Time into the deck, at the top of the deck, and grab this one. Oh, interesting. Okay, all right. And then I'm going to play Luck Be a Lady using Digging Deep. And Luck Be a Lady, discard the top card of your deck and count the resources on it. For each resource counted this way, then we can follow those directions there. So we discard this card, and it's Right Place, Right Time. It's a wild resource, which we can count double because of Domino. So, so for each resource counted this way, if it is a wild, choose one. So I'm going to get to do this twice. So first, I'm going to deal 3 damage to M.O.D.O.K. So 1, 2, 3. And do I do 3 more and get him really close? Or do I kind of get this under control here? I think I'm going to do 3 more. I'm going to take advantage of that. 1, 2, 3. So we went down to 9. We started at 12, went down to 9, 3 and 3. So went down to 6. So 6 points of damage there. Notice that's not an attack. So we do not take retaliate damage. And then I'm going to thwart with White Fox, and we're going to attack with Sarah Garza. Again, her attacks have ranged, so deal 2 more damage, bringing him down to 4. All right. And then, let's see. What do I want to do here? Yeah, let's just stay on this side for now. There is some temptation to flip over. Yeah, let's just stay on this side. Let's ready up and draw our hand size. Okay, let's add 1 more threat to the main scheme. Oops, wrong button. Had my hand in the wrong place. There we go. And then he's going to attack for 1 and 2. I will defend with White Fox this time. And then that's 3, 4. After this activation, shuffle Adaptoid into the encounter deck. So that does defeat White Fox, and Adaptoid gets shuffled back in. Shuffle up, get an encounter card. And there's Scientist Supreme. Has, let's see, 6 hit points, victory, -1. Villainous and vulnerable. Okay, nothing we can do about the vulnerable right now. Scientist Supreme's attacks gain piercing and ranged. Okay, yeah, we'll want to get rid of that one relatively quickly. We already have Rappaccini. Let's see, nothing. Well, Scientist Supreme is in the victory spike. Okay, no impact there. All right, so back to our turn. All right, let's start off by getting Probability Field into play. So when you use a basic power, discard the top card of your deck and you get +1 to that power for this use for each resource icon discarded this way. Yeah, so we're going to do that. So let's pay with First Aid and Agent Coulson to get that into play. And then I'm going to use Domino's ability to switch this card here with the top card of the deck. Okay. All right. And then let's start by using Domino's Pistol. Let's see. Yes, let's do that. Start with Domino's Pistol to deal damage to the Scientist Supreme. And it's a wild resource, so it does 2 damage, but we have this interrupt when you use a basic power. Oh, basic power. Actually, I read that wrong. I was thinking something else, right? So it actually really goes for her with one of her basic powers. Okay. All right. So that just deals 2 damage here. Okay. And then let's go ahead and attack for 2 and then discard a card. And that does 1 extra damage, so it does 3 damage, right? +1. You get +1 to that power for this use for each resource icon discarded this way. All right, so +1, so it does 3 damage. So up to 5. And then I guess we're just going to want to finish it off with the pistol. Yes, let's use the pistol, discard this card, and it does 1 more damage. And that takes care of the Scientist Supreme, who has victory -1, so we will put that over here. All right, and then we will, let's see, that's physical, yep. So we're going to use this strength, discard that, pay with that, to spend 2 of these, remove the last lot counter, flip this over, and now we have Strong Inhuman, who has toughness. Oops, not stun. Toughness. And then does not count against your ally limit. And after this card leaves play, flip it and place it on bottom of the holding cell deck. Okay, so, and that gets us another holding cell character. And let's see what that one has. 2, we can spend, first of all, put 2 lot counters on, and we can spend 2 mental resources to remove a lot counter from here. All right. But, but I think we're going to do it this way. So let's go ahead and attack with Strong Inhuman, dealing 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. Getting Retaliate 2. Getting rid of the tough, and then take Consequential. And then Sarah Garza is going to attack and take a Consequential and do that final damage, defeating M.O.D.O.K, which doesn't defeat him. So instead, M.O.D.O.K, if a holding cell is in play, remove 2 lot counters. So we're going to do that. So we're going to get this one into play now. And then the last holding cell comes out. All right, and put 2 counters on there. Then Psionic and, let's finish this part. So remove 2 lot counters from it and reset M.O.D.O.K's hit points to 14. So going back up to 14. There we go. And forced response. Oh, +5 hit points. Oh, no, we already added those hit points. Good. I thought maybe the damage goes here. He has a different one where the damage goes here. That's not this one. It added the 5 hit points already. After M.O.D.O.K's hit points are reset, discard this card. So we can discard it. Excellent. So now he's not attacking for 2 anymore as his base attack. Okay. So let's go ahead and use this. After this ally thwarts, remove 1 lock counter from a holding cell. So we're going to attack, take a thwart, take a consequential, and remove 1 of these lock counters from the holding cell. And then this will be good timing to get this card into play. Okay, very nice. All right, so let's ready up. Is it time to go to Alter Ego? Yeah, I'd like to get as many cards in my hand as possible. So let's go to Alter Ego. There we go. Go to Alter Ego, ready up, draw our hand size. Okay, looking good. Looking really good. All right, so let's add 1 threat to the main scheme, and he's going to, has this 3 scheme, so plus this card here. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and wow, that really did a doozy there, because even if I prevent 3, that still does bust this open. So let's go ahead and defeat that. Okay. And what it says here is, when this stage would be completed, put 1 random set-aside adaptoid environment into play. We have those sitting aside. They were randomly chosen. Okay. All right, so this one has each adaptoid gets +1 ATK and gains toughness, plus the brute trait. All right, so we did that. Then, if there are no set-aside adaptoid environments, players lose the game. There is still 1 more. Otherwise, remove all threat from here. So let's do that. Okay. And shuffle each adaptoid minion from the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. So let's look for those minions that are adaptoids, and we have just 1 to go back into the deck. Keep the order there, but shuffle the deck. All right, so that's been reset. Now he gets his encounter card. And now we're pretty safe, actually. We have this counter intelligence there. So even if he gets schemes again, we're really safe. Okay. And another adaptoid comes out. All right, so he does get a toughness. And I'm going to put an extra counter here for +1 attack. Gets another +1 attack here, plus overkill and ranged. So he's pretty dangerous. So he actually gets 3 attack now, and then plus the overkill and ranged. And then this environment gives him 1 extra scheme, and he has Insight 1, so there is 1 threat that goes on the main scheme. Okay, so now it's our turn, and let's figure out what we can do here. He has, so M.O.D.O.K has 14 hit points. I'm curious about how much damage we can do. Okay, before we do anything else, I'm going to take care of this. So the Psionic Inhuman is going to remove 1 threat, take a consequential, so from the main scheme, and that gets rid of this final lock counter because of this ability, this response. So get rid of that final lock counter. Now we can flip this over and put that one into play, and now that's all 4 of these Inhumans into play. Notice in the victory display here, I don't have any more left. Okay. And this one does not count against your ally limit still. After this ally thwarts, remove 1 threat from another scheme. Okay. No need to do any of that. So if we want to, we can attack with this one. So let's add up the attack damage we could possibly do here and see what we might want to try. Okay, we're going to go for victory here. So first of all, on this side, what we can do is choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card of your discard pile. So I'm going to swap out Right Place, Right Time. Now, I'm going to swap out Captain Britain, actually, for this card right here. Okay. All right, and now let's flip over, and then now I can swap a card with the top card of my deck. I'm going to put Right Place, Right Time on top and grab this card. Okay. All right, and then let's do this next. Let's go ahead and use Domino's Pistol and discard this card. That has a wild resource, so it's going to deal 2 damage, but we're going to add to that Directed Force, which costs 0. When your hero makes an attack that has ranged, in this case, that attack deals 2 additional damage. So we're dealing 2 damage, plus 2 more damage makes 4 damage. So M.O.D.O.K goes from 14 down to 10, and we get no retaliate on that since it's ranged. Then let's also attack with Domino's other pistol, discard this card, and that's Jackpot. So that has 3 resources dealing 3 damage, so going from 10 down to 7. And then Jackpot has this ability, it shuffles back into your deck. So let's shuffle that up. Okay. All right, and then let's go ahead and attack with the Strong Inhuman here for 3, taking 2 retaliate damage plus a consequential. So 3 more damage going from 7 down to 4. Then we'll attack with Sarah Garza, dealing 2 more ranged damage. And then we'll go ahead and use, we have a couple of choices here that both work, but we'll go ahead and use a good workout. So we'll pay for that with strength. A good workout, deal 4 damage to an enemy, discard the top card of your deck. For each resource icon discarded this way, deal 1 additional damage. So discard that. So that's 1 additional damage. So we're dealing 5 damage. So we deal 2 damage plus 3 extra. And he started off with 14, so so far that's 17 altogether. So we might as well do this one here. Let's see. Oh, hey, this is an interesting play. I'm going to use Lucky Break as a resource to play Lay the Trap, which comes with 3 icons on it right there. So we're going to thwart with Flying Inhuman to remove 2, and we're going to thwart with Domino to use 1. And then when defeated, the player who defeated this scheme deals 5 damage to the villain. And if it wasn't already defeated, that would defeat him, so we wouldn't have to worry about the consequential, but we could take the consequential anyway. Oh no, timeout. I did it again. I forgot all about, I gotta clear the minions. Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. It's so easy to forget that. So I'm gonna back up. If I hit the back button, I could just back up. Like I'll just undo plays. So I gotta undo until he's not defeated. So let's undo, 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 undo that, undo that. Still defeated, so keep undoing. There's a good workout. We got to get that back. Okay, come on back. Now he has 2 hit points remaining. There you go. Now it's back, and then I paid for that with this strength. So I guess that's a pretty good spot to put us. So here's what we'll do. We will attack with Flying Inhuman. Okay, stop. There we go. Attack with Flying Inhuman to get rid of this tough. Okay, then we will play a good workout for 2, and a good workout deals 4 damage, discard a card, 5 damage, and that's exactly enough damage to destroy Adaptoid. The when defeated doesn't apply anymore, but it is defeated. Now we have no threat on the main scheme, no minions, and no side schemes. And luckily enough, we had extra damage we could do, so Domino will attack for 2, and then we'll use the probability field to add 1 more card here, and that does 3, but all we needed was 2. So we did the full 14 damage plus 1 and got rid of that minion. And there we go. All right, sorry about always having to retract those turns. That is definitely not a habit for me to, like by the end of the game, I have totally forgotten that I need to clear everything out. So I'm having to do that every game, but did get another successful 10-point victory, basically one of those perfect victories again. So very cool deck for Domino, as in, like she's just a really cool hero here, but it's been really nice putting these counterintelligences. In my other practice plays, the counterintelligences did come into play. I didn't actually, it stayed with 2 environments in play the whole time, and I never got a third because counterintelligence protected it. And then what I would do is I would be in alter ego side getting that bigger hand size, and counterintelligence would have been defeated, right? Or would have been used for the interrupt. So it would end up in the top of my deck, on the top of my discard pile. And because I was on the alter ego side when I started my turn, I could then use her alter ego ability. Let me flip that over real quickly. Choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card of your discard pile. So then I would swap it out. So I'll just pick one. I'd go like this, swap that out with another card. I'd get counterintelligence back and be able to play it again to continue to protect the main scheme and allow me to go back and forth. So this game didn't work out that way at all. But in some previous games, it was really cool using that. So the deck did work very differently than the leadership deck. So we'll talk more about the deck later on, but I just wanted to throw that in the middle of this game while it was in my mind. Okay, have a great one, everybody. We'll catch you next time.